Hi, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so right now, this is basically about the Philippines. How things happen in the Philippines, how you get yourself to get a visa over there. So right now, I got two people that are in the Philippines, and one is Evan. He's from SavvyExpats.com. He's gonna basically be interviewing Heidi from CNG Consulting in the Philippines, and she's going to give us some words on how you get into the country and everything else. And they're both very helpful, so they both help out the expats. And let me give you a quick little example. Expat, or what it is, the meaning of expat is it's a person who basically retires and goes and moves over to the Philippines. So they call them expats. So you're exporting yourself to somewhere, all right, the Philippines, or it could be to Thailand or wherever you're going to go, all right, but you're considered an expat, all right. So when you hear that word, you'll know what it is. It's just you retiring and going over, all right. And there's a lot of expats out there in the world. There's a lot of expats, and they're not just from the United States. They're all over the world, from every country, all right. So right now, excuse me, let's get going with this and see what they have to offer us, all right. So here we go with Heidi and Evan.
What's up, Savvy Expats? I'm here with a good friend now, Heidi.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So, Heidi, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Heidi. I am the co-founder of CNG Consulting. We are a consulting company that serves expats nationwide, basically, and I like to brand us as the expat one-stop shop. So anything you want to do in order to settle here in the Philippines, especially if it's immigration, business registration, then we cater to that. We're here for you.
I like that, expat one-stop shop.
Yep.
So everything an expat would need with moving to the Philippines, you guys handle?
Yes, especially if it involves the government.
Right.
Because if you know the government here, it's so tedious. So
Right.
that's where we come in. We help you handle the chaos.
100%. I mean, I've worked with a lot of expats that previously tried moving here by themselves, and the biggest issue with that is they think that they know how to do it step by step, but then you actually go to Philippine immigration and you see the systems and processes, logistics involved, not even to mention the time that it takes.
Yes.
And then it's just one big
Problem,
ball. Yeah,
and
it's like
you
a
just get frustrated in
ball,
the end.
yeah. 100%. So how did you get started with visa consulting?
I actually worked for a Japanese consulting company that basically did the same thing. So my background is I have a degree in political science. I also studied law. I am also a registered realtor, and I also have an HR registration in the US. I'm an accredited HR. So I worked for that Japanese company for about 3 to 4 years. And basically we did the same thing. And, I'm Filipino, and the pay is never great. So I helped that branch basically become bigger in Cebu.
Okay.
And they never gave me, they never gave me a ladder to climb. So
see.
for me, it was like, I felt like I was taken advantage of. So one day I just walked out of the office. Yeah, I walked out of the office and started CNG Consulting with my business partner, who is actually a Canadian national. And he is a tech guy. So a lot of our services actually are, that's something that I think keeps us different from other agencies. A lot of our processes actually involve streamlining through tech.
I see.
Yeah.
Very nice. So you said that you're from the Philippines.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about where in the Philippines you're from, your upbringing and whatnot?
I am a small town girl.
Small town girl.
I'm from
Living
Bohol.
in a big town world.
Yeah, exactly. I am from Bohol, a very remote town called Talibon. And then when I was 16, I went to Cebu to go to college, and I never left. My family is basically middle class, and I believe in working hard. My dad is actually, he came from a farmer family, and he worked hard to be where he is. And I always think that I have no reason not to give it my best.
It's very commendable.
Yeah, that's why it takes a lot of guts and risk to start a business, especially here in the Philippines, when you're taught to have like the security of having a salary is such a big deal, right? And then your parents are like, oh, like this is not a secure thing, you starting a business. Why don't you just go get a job? You can get a job very easily. But I felt like that wasn't for me.
Right. So
Yeah.
was it were your parents telling you to go down the nursing route?
No, law.
Law.
Yeah,
And you did.
lawyer.
So.
I did, yeah, but I never got to finishing it. I'm almost like I need one more year to finish it. But I
It's amazing because as I go through these videos and I look at what's going on, and there's a whole bunch of these women that basically, they're going to school and they're becoming lawyers. I mean, they're becoming lawyers over in the Philippines, and it's amazing that they are out there doing it. They're lawyers, so they have the education, and almost all of them can speak English. So you don't have a problem with that in the Philippines, the language, because they almost everybody there can speak English, because they're taught that from when they're down in kindergarten on up, how to speak English. So yeah, it's just totally amazing how all this works.
actually enjoy doing this more. Dealing with expats is actually a very personal thing for me. My parents used to own a bar in this town, and there was actually a small expat community. So growing up, I've always like dealt with expats. My sister got married to a Norwegian, so my nieces are half Norwegian, half Filipino, and then for some reason, most of my friends are expats. So it's a personal thing for me, helping expats, get settled here in the Philippines.
And I'm sure that a lot of the expats you work with can really tell by that because even just talking to you, so I mean, we're both Filipino. My background is being from Chicago, born and raised. But even just talking to you, like it seems like you've been immersed in an expat environment your whole life, would you say?
Yeah, exactly. Even as a kid, I had to learn English very quick. Well, mostly watching American cartoons,
Yeah.
but also being pushed to talk to expats because we had a lot of them in my parents' like restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to converse with them all the time.
I was very interested because being a small town girl and you see like these white sort of like white people that are so foreign to me, like, oh, where are you from? What are you doing here? As a little girl from the small town, and I was like, oh, like I need to talk to these people because like I've never seen anyone like this.
Would you say like your eyes were kind of opened up having these kind of conversations? Because I mean, the whole very small town, you only see certain places. Your father was a farmer, right? When you have these kind of conversations with them, I'm sure like they come from all different kinds of backgrounds, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So this whole business is very much personal to me.
Love it. So what services, can you dig a little bit deeper into what specific services that CNG handle?
So we handle immigration services and business services.
Okay.
So in the immigration service, we actually help expats get settled here in the Philippines. So we can get you a permanent visa, whether you're retiring, getting married, or starting a business here in the Philippines. We also help with business registration because a lot of expats who come here actually want to start a business because obviously the Philippines our economy is very healthy. It's a fast-growing economy, and a lot of people see opportunity in that. There is a lot of room for growth being a developing country, right? And because of that, they come here to invest. Like, for example, BPO companies are such a huge industry in the Philippines, right? So those are the major things that we actually offer at CG Consulting.
Gotcha. And so these clients, I'm sure that they see a lot of potential with moving to the Philippines. There's a lot of investors coming out here, right?
Correct, yes.
So when you see like the investors coming out here, I mean, what does that look like in your perspective with the future of the Philippine economy? I know that you're not an economist, but
No.
I'm sure like if you see the potential that they see in the Philippines, I'm sure that kind of shows you what our country's doing.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, a lot of these people who come here are actually here to develop a lot of our, for example, the people who are doing BPO companies. The reason why they come here is because labor is cheap, right? And because of that, you actually make a lot more money, right? So that's one of the reasons why a lot of the expats actually invest in the Philippines because with cheap labor, are actually really high. The more the investors, foreigners, bring a lot more cash, right? The more the Philippines is gonna develop, right? And because it's a developing country, there's a lot more room for development, especially in tech. Like, for example, it's just 18 years since, I don't know if you know GCash, of course, right? So the payment processing system we're in, Filipinos and we're such a cash-based country.
Very old school.
Yeah, very old school country that you couldn't go anywhere without having cash. Like, you had to withdraw money. But we're at a point now wherein we have GCash, wherein we're getting used to paying online.
Yes.
So before that wasn't the case. So just even that's something that is, I don't know, that's something normal in Western countries. It's not actually normal here. So you can see the opportunities available if you see it, right?
Oh, totally, 100%. Because even me, I've been here in the Philippines going on 5 years now, and in the beginning, like I saw that a lot of the things here are still brick and mortar, but as the years went by, there was so much more progression that happened rapidly to the point where I'm seeing like some of my clients paying their bills in GCash,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Like in the States, like, imagine paying your rent in Venmo.
Yeah.
But here,
Exactly.
now we're
That part is totally amazing because here we are paying for everything that's online. We're paying all the bills online. We can pay our electric bill, our phone bills, everything online. And to them, it's like, what? Because because they're still getting themselves online. They do have cell phones over there. Okay, don't get me wrong. They got cell phones, and they do use their cell phones a lot. I mean, they do. And he says, imagine paying your bills with Venmo. Well, we pay online. So it's just totally amazing that how different cultures, different countries are so different, and some of them are moving up into this electronic age, and this in the Philippines is one of those that's doing that too. So it's amazing to see how this is going to go.
Becoming a little bit more mainstream, which is why there is probably an influx of expats coming out here to the Philippines because the Western conveniences that we have in the States is actually catching up now here in the Philippines.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
so moving on to the next topic, both of us deal with expats that are looking to handle and acquire retirement visas.
You're purchasing property, you're starting a business. It's very much a requirement for you to have permanent residency. Just so actually immigration actually goes and checks, what you're doing here. So if you're doing business, if you're here for a long period of time, they may ask, hey, you only have a tourist visa. Why don't you have a permanent visa? And then you're living here in the Philippines. It also gives you permanent multiple entry and exits. So here, if you come to the Philippines, you actually need to have a return ticket, right? Because you're only allowed to stay for a certain amount of time, and then you have to renew your visa.
Right.
So that's also one of the benefits. Another would be is just in the Philippines, and if you don't have like a legal standing of your visa, it kind of gives you an insecurity, right? Especially for expats who get married here. Like, what are you gonna do if the immigration is just like, oh, you're on tourist visa, get out.
Right.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's also something to be said with just the incentives of the Philippine tourist visa as opposed to the neighboring Southeast countries. I don't know so much about the Thai visas, but of course some of you guys planning or have debated between moving to the Philippines or Thailand, but at least for some of my clients, what took Thailand out of the picture for them is just that it's not necessarily permanent because it expires, their retirement visa expires after, I believe, 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's more expensive as well, like 60K USD.
Yeah, here it's a lot cheaper. I'm not so sure, but I can tell you about the retirement visa here in the Philippines, most especially if you're over 50. Like, say, for example, you are a veteran, military experience. So if you have military experience, the deposit is only 1,500 USD, and you can be a permanent resident here in the Philippines.
Right.
Now, don't worry if you don't have military experience. There's also available retirement visas for people who have a pension and then no pension. We call that, so the retirement visas are called SRRV, or Special Resident Retirees Visa. So there is a type of SRRV called SRRV Classic, wherein with pension, you only have to deposit 10,000 USD. Without pension, you only have to deposit 20,000 USD. But this deposit, you can convert into either an investment of a condominium or a long-term lease of a house and lot, which is super convenient, right?
Long-term lease of a house.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's what's beautiful about acquiring a retirement visa here is because your money doesn't just go towards nothing. Like,
Yeah.
It's not just purely towards, okay, I get a permanent stay and that's all.
Yeah.
But it's actually going towards an investment, which is a great incentive. And also the fact that if you're retiring in the Philippines, you most likely do have a pension. So it's at least 10K. And then that's why I think a lot of my clients are military retirees or military veterans, because only 1.5K to stay in the Philippines permanently. It's hard to beat that.
Exactly.
A lot of the other countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, they don't even offer those kind of incentives. And we've also spoken before this interview about the fact that the Philippines is also an English-speaking country as well.
Yes, that's I think one of the advantages. And then
Is
it's
the
also a good
advantage.
way to acknowledge people who have served in the military because the Philippines and the U.S. actually have like, really good military ties. So I think that's why we're offering that wherein you can be a permanent resident in the Philippines for 1,500 USD. Yeah.
And so, Sam Express, I hope you enjoyed part one of our interview, Heidi of CNG Consulting. We dive really deep into electronic visas and the logistics that come along with that. You can also hear I've been doing quite a few interviews lately, which is why I've lost my voice. But other than that, in the meantime, that was part one. Stay tuned for part two, which will be coming up in a couple of days. We're dive even further into retirement visas associated and in the Philippines in general.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's really good the way they did that. They brought it up. They let you know that this is going to happen. See, I was listening to something she was saying about when you have your money over there that you can actually invest it in buying a house. Well, you got to make sure you check into this yourself. I could probably pull up a video on that pretty soon. Um, but it was like if you go over to the Philippines, you you can't own the land, but if you're married, the wife can own the land or the husband, as long as they're Philippines, can own the land, but you can build a house on it. Okay, if you're a foreigner, you can build a house on it, and you own the house, and they own the land. So there's a whole big thing you got to find out about that if you're going to do something like that, because because down the road, if something happens and she wants to go this way, you want to go, but because there's basically no divorce over there, they said. So this is kind of interesting. But anyway, is there no divorce? That's sad that the Western countries are so good at, oh yeah, I'm tired. I'm trying to move on to somebody else. Let's get divorced. That's the worst way to have a relationship, worst way to live. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to start talking about the bad things about it. But anyhow, I hope you got a little bit out of this. And, there's a couple websites. I'm going to put Evan's website and Heidi's website. I'm going to put that information down